Hi, friends. I think it's about time that I make some sense of all of these stacks of books that I have in my living room slash library area. Okay, so I have a stack, a couple of stacks actually, of Unhaul books, and I have a couple of books that I've brought into my home. Yes, yes, I do. Um, the Unhaul is I'm organizing my books. I just don't have space for the books that I have in my new apartment. I'm still kind of working on that, trying to figure it all out. But these are books that I know I don't want anymore. So the unhaul just coincided well with the books that I've brought into my home. With that said, there's a lot, so let's just jump into it. So, a couple I just reviewed, and I will link the vlog below that I reviewed them in. I am getting rid of Throttled by Lauren Asher. This is an F1 romance, and I just didn't, it wasn't for me. The next one is The Last Story of Mina Lee by Nancy Ji-Young Kim. I liked this story, but I don't see myself ever reading it again. I also listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook is really good. I also am getting rid of King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. I wasn't a fan of this book. I like S.A. Cosby's writing, and I've kept, I think, one of his books that I really liked. I think it was All the Sinners Bleed. But this one, yeah, I'm just not going to reread it. There's another one that actually, this is the one that toppled over one pile because it's so heavy. This is Edith Wharton and This Extraordinary Life, an illustrated biography by Eleanor Dwight. This is just like it says, an illustrated biography of Edith Wharton. I really do like Edith Wharton and did a lot of research on her in my undergraduate degree. But I don't need to keep all of the books. And this thing is really heavy and large. And I just don't have room for it. So we're getting rid of that one. I'm going to get into the stacks. Let's do this one for sure. This is another book from my college days. This is Classic American Autobiographies. It includes a true history of the captivity and restoration of Mrs. Mary Rowlandson from 1682, the autobiography of Ben Franklin, 1771, the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass from 1845, Old Times on the Mississippi by Mark Twain, that was 1875, four autobiographical narratives by Zekala Sai from 1900 to 1902, and it was edited by William L. Andrews. I took one of my senior classes was on autobiography and memoir, which probably is where my love of memoir started. I've read, I think, all of these as some part of my class, but I've never gone back to it. I always thought I would, but I've never gone back to it. And that was a long time ago. So we're definitely getting rid of that. So I also have a bunch of dog books because if you're new here, I used to run a rescue and used to read a lot about dogs, dog behavior, good things about dogs, all the things. So I have a lot of dog books and I do like them, and I've kept several that are really, for me, good reference points. But then there's a lot that I've read, don't really don't really need to hold on to it anymore. And the first one of those is The Hidden Life of Dogs by Elizabeth Marshall Thomas. I think it's kind of, I don't know, ironic that it has little chew marks on the bottom corner, probably from a foster dog or a cat or something like that. That's probably going to go in a little free library, if I'm honest. Okay, then we have Puppy Chow is Better Than Prozac, The True Story of a Man and the Dog Who Saved His Life by Bruce Goldstein. And so this is a person who is dealing with mental health issues and gets a dog that helps him. Thunderdog, The True Story of a Blind Man, His Guide Dog, and the Triumph of Trust at Ground Zero by Michael Hingsong with Susie Flory. This is about a guide dog that helped his handler, a blind man who worked in the World Trade Center, escape the 9/11 tragedy when the World Trade Center caught fire from the planes. Then we've got The Daily Coyote, A Story of Love, Survival, and Trust in the Wilds of Wyoming by Shreve Stockton. This is about a woman who finds a coyote pup and ends up raising it. Oogie is by Larry Levin, and it's about a dog that no one really wanted, and this family gives the dog a chance. This is a book I've had for a really long time. This is Dogs, A Startling New Understanding of Canine Origin, Behavior, and Evolution by Raymond Coppinger and Lorna Coppinger. Yeah, it's about dog origins. This is a book that is an old library copy. The Monks of New Skeet, How to Be Your Dog's Best Friend, a training manual. Then we have Wallace by Jim Garant. This is about a pit bull that made a huge impact on his owner's life, and a disc dog became a disc dog, which is, catching a frisbee. So I have a couple other books. These are nonfiction. Please Stop Laughing at Me, One Woman's Inspirational Stories by Jody Blanco. This is about bullying, and I used to, when I was getting into counseling, wanted to work with teenage girls who dealt with bullying. And I did, and it was a very hard job to do. And I now don't like reading about bullying at all, because it brings back some of the cases the real life stories that I dealt with when I did that job. This is Instruments in the Redeemer's Hands, People in Need of Change, Helping People in Need of Change by Paul David Tripp. This was a counseling book that I did in a Christian counseling program at my church. I became sort of a lay counselor for people in the congregation. This is another school book. This is The Woman Warrior by Maxine Hong Kingston, Memoirs of a Girlhood Among Ghosts. This is All the Single Ladies, Unmarried Women and the Rise of an Independent Nation by Rebecca Traister. This is a lot about the societal views, stereotypes, and then some real stories about single women, which, being a single woman, I was interested in this, and it's a really informative book. I listened to the audiobook and highly recommend both. I mean, you could do the audiobook, you could do the physical copy. So this is Running with Walker, a memoir by Robert Hughes. This is by a man whose son has autism. Then Chinese Cinderella, The True Story of an Unwanted Daughter by Adeline Yen Ma. I have tried to start this several times and just can't get into it. I'm not sure if it's the writing style or honestly the size of the book. It's a mass market paperback, really small font. Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. I do want to read this, but I think I'm going to do the audiobook. The 5-minute gratitude journal, Give Thanks, Practice Positivity, and Find Joy by Sophia Godkin. Godkin? This is just, it's a blank gratitude journal that I got somewhere, and I've just never used it. I just use a regular journal. This is a popular book that I don't like. I think I DNF'd it, actually. This is Tiny Beautiful Things, Advice on Love and Life from Dear Sugar by Cheryl Strayed. I just didn't, I mean, it's like a advice column that Cheryl Strayed responded to, and I liked some of them, but it just kind of got redundant, and I just wasn't interested. This one is A Walk with Jane Austen, A Journey into Adventure, Love, and Faith by Laurie Smith. This is a woman who goes on a trip. I think she's in her 20s. Nope, 33. Dealing with a difficult job and a creeping depression. She goes kind of on this tour of Jane Austen sites. So that was interesting. I did like it, but I'm not going to reread it. And then this one is Somewhere Inside, One Sister's Captive in North Korea and the Others Fight to Bring Her Home by Laura Ling and Lisa Ling. I've had this for years and never felt the need to pick it up because I've also gone down a rabbit hole in that story as well when Laura Ling was taken captive in North Korea. Okay, that was the unhaul. Now we need to get into the haul. Okay, now for the haul. The first one is a book that I pre-ordered. It came out in April in the UK, but yeah, I didn't get mine until this last week in August. So this is Owning It, Our Disabled Childhoods in Our Own Words, edited by Jen Campbell, James and Lucy Ketchpole, with illustrations by Sophie Camlish. This is stories from disabled people on what their childhoods were like. I follow Jen Campbell on BookTube, and also Kendra Winchester also has an essay in here. I'm excited to read it, and yeah, I'll be starting this one right away. I also have 2 book clubs that I'm going to do this month. One of them I'm able to get, I hope, able to get from the library. That's the third one. 3 book clubs. So one of them I'm going to hopefully get from the library. The other 2, one of them, the wait was really long at the library, but I've wanted to read this book for a while, and this is for Becca at Becca Books and Bujo. Her book club is doing I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This is translated by Roz Schwartz. I've just heard a lot of stuff about this, and lots of people love it. And it's about women who are brought up in cages and have never met men or something like that. I don't want to know much more than that. And then the other book club is an in real life book club that I'm going to try. They asked, as most indie bookstores that have book clubs do, ask that you buy the book from them to help support them. And they are reading Catalina by Carla Cornejo Villavicencio. This is about a college student who is going to Harvard. She's raised by undocumented grandparents in Queens, and it's the story of her senior year, I think, and her experience at Harvard. So I'm excited to read that. And while I was there, of course, you know what's coming. I also got a poetry collection that I've heard several people that I follow on BookTube talk about. And this is A Bit Much by Lindsay Rush. Um, at long last, a book of poetry for people who didn't even know they liked poetry. And she wrote some. I do like poetry. I don't like a lot of the old poetry that I had to study in in school, but you know. So already mentioned Becca at Becca Books and Bujo moved recently, and she has a Pango shop, and I thought I would help her not have to move so many books. So I got from her, I got Anne Cleeve's The Long Call. This is the author of Shetland, I think is her series. This starts a new series. I haven't even started the other series, but I just feel like this is an author I'm gonna like. I got Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. I have the other two in this series and needed Wolf Hall to start the series. And then I also got from Becca How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. This is for fans of Cloud, Atlas, and Station 11. I've gotten this out from the library and never get it around to reading it, so I thought I'd just get a copy. And then, oh, I should say, Becca had 50% off on her books before she moved, and that drew me in. This is another one I've gotten out from the library. I did start reading this one time, and I really like the writing style, but did not finish it. And this is Small Worlds by Caleb Azuma Nelson. I think this is like a little bit of a love story, family saga kind of book, I think. She also had The Night Watchman by Louise Erdrich. I would like to read this soon. It is based on her grandfather, Louise Erdrich's grandfather, who worked as a night watchman and carried the fight against native dispossession from rural North Dakota all the way to Washington, D.C. So it explores themes of love and death with lightness and gravity and unfolds with the elegant prose, sly humor, and depth of feeling of a literary master. I have liked Louise Erdrich before. I have several on my shelves that I still need to read. So why not another one? So we've got that one. And then I think there was something that I needed to get free shipping. And so I got The Plot by Jean Hanff Corlitz. And this is about a novelist. And yeah, I think I like books about writers. I think. As you'll have seen in my vlog from last week, I went to Augusta to meet Krista from Books and Jams as she was driving through Georgia. And we went to a bookstore. It was called the Book Tavern. Really, really nice people. And they had a bunch of books that were 50% off. And I only got books that were on my to read, like I want to read these books, and we'll probably mark them up. So it'd be good to have a copy, right? The first one I got is Invisible Sisters, a memoir by Jessica Handler. Jessica Handler is a local author to me and one that has dealt with grief a lot. And I recently took a writing class from her, and I just really wanted to read more about her life. She's an older sister and has lost her two younger sisters, and this kind of goes into their story and that experience for her. So another book that I've read a little bit of when I checked out from the library, and then, as happens with me, I did not get a chance to finish it, got distracted by other books, and that's Fire Exit by Morgan Talty. This is about a man who lives on a reservation and has a daughter who doesn't live on the reservation that he kind of watches from afar as she's growing up. And I'm curious, but I also really liked the writing style when I read the little bit that I did of that. So we'll get to that one. And then the last one I got from that bookstore is A Face for Picasso by Ariel Henley. This is a memoir about a woman with facial differences and just how she's encountered life in our society that focuses so much on looks. And yeah, I'm just very curious about reading that one as well. I mentioned in my August reading hopeful TBR, I guess, that I did get a used copy. I found one, and it's hard to see. It's a white cover. Theo of Golden by Alan Levy. This is highly recommended by Krista at Books and Jams. And also, randomly, I saw another friend who I haven't seen in years, but we are friends on Facebook, and she rated this 5++ stars. So I'm gonna dive into that soon. Okay, then I went to a thrift store and got some books. I got In the Sanctuary of Outcast by Neil White, a book that I've seen around a lot. And it came out in 2010-ish, and it's about a man who is in prison in Louisiana for bank fraud. And there is a small circle of outcasts, kind of an isolated colony is what they call it in the description, of people who had leprosy. And I'm just really curious of the story. It's just intriguing me. I found a better copy of Agatha Christie, and Then There Were None. I have one. It doesn't have a cover, so I have a better copy of that. I also found Green Glass House by Kate Milford, which is a middle grade book that I've really wanted to read ever since I heard Krista describe it. And then I also have Saving Winslow by Sharon Creech. And I just a sweet little story about an animal. Hopefully it's sweet and nothing bad happens to the little donkey. And then there's some that I just went to a bookstore because it was 90 degrees and they had air conditioning. And I got one that I'm reading right now, and that is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Lots of people know this book. It's about Carrie Soto, who's a tennis player, and she is coming out of retirement. I'm really enjoying it. I also got The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. Very pink book. So the main character is a caregiver, and really don't need to know more. I got The Reformatory. I did, by Tanana Reeve Dew. One of the bookstores was having a anniversary sale, I think it was, and I wanted to go support them, so I got a book. And then the last book I got was Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. I've heard really good things about this as well. And this is Matt Haig's personal experience with depression. So, unhauling, hauling. We need to keep doing the unhauling, but we need to stop doing the hauling. So, we'll see. Although, so this is for August. September is my birthday month. So, we'll have to think about that one. Anyway, have you read any of these books? Do you recommend me getting to one or others sooner rather than later? And then the unhauls, if they're in good condition, they'll be in my Pango shop, which is linked below. The other ones are going to go to the free little libraries, which there are lots around me in my new neighborhood. So lots of places to get rid of books and hopefully not see anything that I would like to take for myself, because as I've said, I moved into a much smaller place and it's all got to fit. I hope you're doing well. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Bye.